A very good morning to our viewers. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are pleased to be able to welcome those of you that have been with us for years now, as well as those of you who have joined us for the first time today. My name is Vandana Santosh, working as PGT Psychology at Global Indian International School, Noida, and I'm glad to be the session moderator for today's webinar. The topic for today's panel discussion is the art of happiness. Being happy is one of the most fundamental requirements of a living being. Since the beginning of the human civilization, man has also been trying to develop new technologies, make new tools, and improve lifestyle for the sole purpose of attaining happiness. However, in its race of scientific endeavor and pursuit of money and luxuries, man is hardly aware of what exactly constitutes happiness. So, today we are here in a hope of fantastic takeaway in the form of some remarkable ideas to up the happiness quotient in our lives. Now, let me introduce you to our panelist for today's discussion. Our esteemed principal, Mr. Ganesh Sharma, our honorable coordinator from pre-primary segment, Ms. Rachna Jain, our well-being supporter, that is our school counselor, Ms. Suchita Sehgal, and our very cherished and valued supporter from the parent fraternity, we have Ms. Anubhuti Jain from the pre-primary segment, Mr. Amit Seth from the primary segment, and Ms. Soma B. Chaudhary from the senior segment. I welcome you all to the webinar and hope we have a fruitful discussion today. So, without much ado, I would like to pose my first question to our principal, sir. Sir, knowing the fact that our topic of discussion for today is the art of happiness, so let me start by asking you a cardinal question. How do you define happiness? Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Vandana. I think happiness is the degree to which an individual feel happy. I mean, we always either we are happy or not happy, or probably we are less happy or more happy, something like that. So, linking it with your current life that you're leading, it's important for happiness. That it's very important that how I'm living, that is related to my happiness, and it is also subjective and varies from person to person. I mean, for something somebody is happy, for same thing another person may not be happy. So this variable aspect, I mean, it may be if I am happy for something, or maybe the circumstances or places, which may suppose things are happening all in favor. I mean, we feel happy about it, and if it is not in favor, I mean, we start having that disappointment. We don't feel happy about it. So it is very important that these factors, these reasons around, circumstances, places, the environment, plays a very important role. So overall, defining happiness is anything which is important to you, number one. Number two, which brings you a sense of satisfaction. I mean, you feel happy about it, doing something, then that is the happiness for you. And I mean, ultimately, there has to be a purpose in life. I mean, if you have certain thing very clear in your mind, that the purpose, whatever you're doing, I mean, if you're enjoying it, it will bring happiness to you.
True, sir. I think that was beautifully answered and definitely sets the foundation for the basic definition of what we understand by happiness. Now, I pose my next question to Ms. Anubhuti, ma'am. Ma'am, what are the steps that can be taken to create happiness of the society as a whole? Uh, Ma'am, I think I'll get back to this question for you as I'll just get back to you. Okay. Having said that, let me first go back to the basic foundation of our society, that is our school. So, my next question would be to our Suchita ma'am. Ma'am, according to you, what are the ways to teach happiness as a skill in school? Or let's suppose, let me frame it, how can we inculcate skills of well being in our schools? Over to you,
Thank you for
ma'am.
this question. Thank you for this question, ma'am. I'm so glad to be part of this webinar. I myself believe in the power of optimism and in the power of happiness. For me, happiness is like a way to go in life and not just a place that you want to be. We do not want to be happier individuals. We want to be happier individuals while achieving our goals. So I would want, and we would want as a school community to teach this to our children. And children are very moldable. Whatever they see, they learn from their observation. So I would suggest the first thing as a school community, what we can do is be selfish towards ourselves. Be selfish. Show them that how we being happy for ourselves is turning such good things for us, how successful we are being, or how easily we are resilient towards some situation, so that if we are happy, students themselves will feel the aura and the vibes of happiness around them. To teach the skill of happiness is something like to try to hold the water in your hands. It will slip away. There is some, like, there would be circumstances where people would not be happy. But if we have strong relationships, if we teach our children to build strong meaningful relationships in their life, with their friends, with their parents, with their families, with themselves, only then they will be able to cope with the situation which is not fortunate for them, and only then they will be able to bring themselves out of it. Also, I think major thing which we should be pointing our highlights on is should be teaching children to try and not to be perfect at what they are trying. Trying is halfway done. We should applaud them for at least trying something. We should teach them that trying is way much more important than being perfect. Because a lot of research studies have also suggested that the idea of perfectionism induces a lot of anxiety, induces a lot of stress, and it induces a lot of self doubt within one person. So we as school can teach the children to try and believe in the power of trying, not in the power of being a perfect person at something. Also, as I said in the beginning about optimism, I believe optimism is equivalent to happiness. Is so equivalent that you can actually replace the words within each other. Teaching them about how the glass is not half empty but how the glass is half full, how they can be resilient, especially in a situation like such where the whole country was in lockdown for so many months. We need to be resilient. There is a moment of understanding that something bad has happened, but we need to understand that this is how we can get away from it. Being happy is the way to get more creative ideas, get more social responsibilities towards ourselves, have better relationships within each other, and just be there for each other. So I think these are a few ways we try to inculcate all the happiness activities in GIS, and this is how we should go as a community itself. Thank you for the question, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was indeed an insightful answer for all of us. In fact, I feel apart from this, the nature and nurture also has a big role to play in our overall well being. Which brings me to my next question that I would like to pose to Mr. Amit, sir. Sir, what is the role of heredity and personality trait in a person's level of subjective well being? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for asking this question. I believe genetic factors partly enhance level of subjective well-being. So genetic factors are important for stability, in subjective well-being. Environmental factors play an important role for the change. But personality traits such as extraversion or the neuroticism also affect subjective well-being in a direct way. So, so I believe that that genetic factors play a part, but environmental factors play an important role, so that it can change the subjective well-being. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much for throwing light on the given question, and I do agree from my perspective that heredity and environment both has a major role, in the subjective well-being of an individual. And I think from you being from the parent fraternity, your subjective opinion on on the same makes a difference for all of us. Now that we have understood the general and the overall perspective of happiness, let's understand what happiness index is and why is it so important in today's scenario from Rachna ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Uh, Happy morning to all the fellow panelists and our audience. So, coming to the happiness index, this term was given first by in the World Happiness Report 2012, and it was basically a survey where the respondents had to respond on their happiness scale on the scale of 0 to 10. So, as per this report, lot of findings have come out, and also the World Happiness Report, to make the things simpler, to make this thing simpler as it to understand the happiness index, have mentioned a term life ladder. Now, what is life ladder? We imagine our life as a life ladder, whereas the bottommost step is 0 and the topmost step is 10. And where do we stand in that life ladder? That is our happiness index. Also, just wanted to say it is not only about success, that if we have achieved so many things, then we will be on the number 10. So there are so many factors for this happiness index. But a little disappointing news which has come in 2021, that India ranks 139 out of 149 in the happiness index. And that is, I think, the cause of concern, and that is why we are discussing all this. And Finland is the happiest nation of the world. And some factors which came across when the data was analyzed and a lot of research was done, that it is due to the excellent healthcare system, one of the best education system in the world, focus on cooperation rather than competition, physical and mental well-being, and strong value system. Now, coming to GIS, we have started one project called the Happiness Project. And the objective of this project is to measure and enhance the happiness experienced by our students. So the main three objectives are: first is measuring happiness. For that, we have already rolled out the happiness survey. In fact, this week itself, this survey was done by our students. This will help us to analyze, where they stand, how do they feel. The second objective is to carry out happiness activities to enhance the happiness quotient of the students. We are already working on that. And the third most important objective is related to the teachers, because teachers are the ones who impart knowledge, skills, and attitudes to the students. So they should be happy in their own self so that they can impart the right kind of values to students. So third objective is enhancing the happiness of the students and staff. So we have one team, and I'm part of that team. So we are working on this, and we hope to get good results, because I think this is the responsibility of each and every one of us, to raise the happiness levels of our students, of our society as a whole. So I hope that answers the question, Vandana.
I second you, ma'am, considering the fact that I do belong to the teachers' fraternity as well. And thank you so much for such a percipient interpretation of what happiness index is, ma'am. Thank you so much. With this, I pose my next question to Ms. Soma Chaudhary. Ma'am, how can we harness technology to promote and increase happiness? Over to you, ma'am.
Hi, thank you very much for including me in today's session. It's a very pertinent subject, and I'm glad we are all talking about it. I just think in the context of children, happiness comes from a lot of exploration, and primarily technology is helping our children and all of us to explore things about the earth, other cultures, They are going and reading stories of hope and inspiration. And sometimes there are interesting quizzes, sharing of good sights and sounds from around the world. Children can sort of listen to music at the click of a mouse. Those who are pursuing performing arts, despite staying at home, they can continue their lessons on online platforms. So these are some of the ways, and I think, we belong to a generation which derived a lot of happiness from reading. And technology has made books available over the Kindle, iBook platform, other platforms. Then, at another social level, I'm just thinking children who are in nuclear families, they are able to connect to their grandparents and to friends even without traveling. I see my child doing that often, and technology is sort of helping harness that kind of happiness. Coming on to a slightly more base level in that sense, what do children really want? They like chocolates, they like gifts, they like animation movies. And we all know that despite the lockdown and everything, e commerce and again technology has kept the flow of goodies coming in despite everything. And if I were to speak on a slightly more serious note, I'd say that using technology for research and its application has been seen to improve academic performance, which gives a sense of achievement to the child, and in turn, it brings in happiness. So, these are some ways in which we can certainly use what we have available in the 21st century in terms of technology to promote and increase happiness.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Really, I think we all would agree to what all points you have mentioned totally, considering that we have been pandemic for the second year running this year. And I could totally agree and relate to what you said. And thank you so much for associating technology to happiness and acquainting all of us with wonderful ways of making use of technology to increase our happiness. And I think there are countries which are already using such measures to stay happy in their everyday life. So, this brings me to my next question that I would like to raise to our principal, sir. So, what are the different measures like countries, Bhutan, are taking to be amongst the happiest countries in the world? And what exactly can we learn from them? Over to you, sir.
So I'll tell you before we come to Bhutan, I'll just tell you about our own experience when we had our student exchange program and teacher exchange program with Sweden, and we were in Stockholm, and we visited Stockholm school, and we were interacting. I mean, I was interacting with the principal, and we are trying to figure out to know the culture and the kind of education system, or different topics we were talking. One of the topic was that in India, why students are more focused and very focused towards studies for clearing board examinations, and especially from class 9 onwards and 8 onwards. And whereas they are very focused because as we know that they need to secure good marks, they need to get admission in good universities and all. And this is the reason that they cannot think other than that at that particular time. So this discussion was going on, and especially we were talking about the subjects that we choose. That's kind of now, hopefully with the new education policy, we will get to see a lot of these things incorporated in our education system after a long time. But what we have seen there, that the skill based learning, that is already incorporated in their education system. It is not about only teaching maths and science. It's all also about teaching them different skills that will help them probably in their job or whatever they do after their education and all. So that was the difference that we could see between these two education systems. Coming to Bhutan, so Bhutan is like the Bhutan is very serious about happiness, and serious about their people, their well-being. And for that reason, they established this gross national happiness commission. And then they what they say that the happiness is not about that you being happy. It's about that people around you complete environment, your society, everybody has to be happy, and then that happiness environment, I mean, you cannot alone be happy, and if you see around people, I mean, they are not happy at all. So that is not possible. They said it's important for you to be happy. It is also important for people, those who are around you, should be happy. So in typically, now coming to their education system, it's not, as I said, it's not about the maths and sciences that they're teaching to their kids. It's also about the techniques, agricultural techniques, the environmental protection, and so on and so forth. I mean, many other things which is from the core subjects that we focus in India. They are focusing on those things, and probably those are the factors, I mean, helping them to build that happiness environment. And also teaching them about the waste management. Especially, I'll tell you about the schools that anything in Bhutan, any material being used in school, that is again recycled and reused, and you'll hardly see, or very it is rare to see in India. It's happening in schools. So also their national policies are very effective, I mean, in terms of creating that happiness, in terms of protecting their environment, in terms of creating, I mean, caring their surrounding society, and the natural resource. I mean, it is mandatory in Bhutan to cover 60% country with a forest. That is mandatory. I mean, and this is the reason that Bhutan is one of the country which is being the only carbon negative country in the world. And this is what is the approach that they are following for the happiness. I mean, and this kind of approach now gradually, I mean, other countries are also trying to adopt the similar method to create happiness, and at least add that happiness portion, whether it is in society or in school. In India, of course, as I said, the GIS, like Madam Rachna just mentioned, that we have taken this initiative, Global Indian International School. We have taken these projects in our academic excellence, with our academic excellence team. We have taken this project, but yes, there are some schools, those who are working. The governments are working. If you see in Delhi and all, the governments started working on happiness, and gradually, I think it will play a very important role in education system also, about the happiness, starting from schools. I mean, is very important. I'll give you one more example, very interesting. I was going through some timetable, I mean, the schedule of one of the school outside India, and I saw one particular place, it's written free period. I mean, so in India there is nothing called free period. Actually, everything is kind of planned, and clearly instructed that what you are supposed to do in what time. But that was a free period, and I inquired that what is it actually. They said this is the time that when children, whatever they would like to do, I mean, they want to play football, they want to interact, chat, they want to sit, they want to rest, whatever they want to do, they can do in this particular time. So I said, what is the objective? I mean, what we are going to achieve? They said it creates happiness. Their mind will rest. I mean, they will devote some time to their passion, and they'll feel, automatically they'll feel happy about it. And I think that will provide them a good energy to start the next session. So this is what I mean, just to tell you in a nutshell, that this is what the other countries, and especially Bhutan, is a pioneer in creating that happiness environment, in their society, in their country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was wonderful, I think. And being the example which you gave for the timetable, it was really commendable that what the other countries are doing in terms of education, other than the skill that we are providing in terms of education. In addition to this, I think the things that have been mentioned by you, from the countries like Bhutan and other countries, we have a lot to learn and inculcate from them. Now, my next question I would like to pose to Miss Anubhuti Jain, ma'am. And, ma'am, what are the steps that we can take to create happiness for the society as a whole? Over to you, ma'am.
Hi. Um, First of all, thanks a lot for making a part of this webinar. I'm very glad to be here. And according to me, a society would be a happier society when its people are happy. Happiness varies from person to person. A prestigious award, a big race, an exciting new relationship, a fancy new car, losing weight. These things can make us feel great at first, but that does not last for very long. So that means the positive things that initially make us happier soon became our new normal, and now we are not as happy as before with these things either. So, long term happiness needs a new mindset, which requires an inner change of perspective and attitude. And everybody can do simply try to be more positive and connect with nature, like listening to the chirping sounds of birds, see the beautiful sunsets, sunrises, the rain, rainbows, and many more such things. The nature around you, which makes your heart very happy and satisfied. You feel a inner happiness. Ask yourself to be more grateful. That can make a huge difference in your overall happiness. Gratitude helps you to experience more positive emotions, decrease depression, feel better about yourself, and nurture and enjoy your relationships. Live the moment and enjoy life pleasures. At last, I want to say try to maintain an optimum balance between your ambitions and what you have right now so that you are happy and satisfied at each moment of your life. So try to be happy in small, small things. See the happiness, see the beauty around you, and you will be happy. See a smile on your child's face. You will feel very happy. Look towards their innocent eyes. You can make small, small things from that. They are lifetime moments which you are making, which you are having. Live them. Don't rush. Don't rush. Live the moments. It hardly take a minute or two. Spend those moments with your family. That's all.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for reflecting on the steps for creating a happy society. Having said that, ma'am, if I ask you my next question again, if joy becomes the national currency, what kind of work would make you wealthy, Anubhuti, ma'am? If you could throw some light on the
Um,
same.
yeah, sure. If joy becomes a national currency, then to be wealthy, I would like to listen to my heart always, and will do the things only which I love to do. Will spend all my time with my family and with my near ones, enjoying the nature, having fun with them, and last not the least, will help others, will care for others, will do something for the society, for the upliftment, for anything which I can do towards the education of the society. That will give me a inner happiness.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for mentioning all the points that you have mentioned. And I really hope that maybe joy actually becomes the national currency for all of us. But having
Hope so.
said that, but having said that, we also need to focus on the significant factors that before Rachna ma'am also talked about, on the significant factors that contribute to low score of India in the World Happiness Report 2021 this year. Even countries like Pakistan have a higher score than India. And I would really request Suchita ma'am to throw some light on it. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Even when I went through the data and I was looking at the data, and I really was so surprised to see that India is ranking at 139 out of 149 countries. So it means that we are lying in the last 10% of the population of unhappy nations. And it just broke my heart. I felt so upset that we are raising a country with is the youth which is not even happy about it. So I actually dig deep about why and how India is lacking in happiness so much. So basically, how the this scenario and the poll which is taken care of in the happiness area is based on the GDP. It's based on the country's expectancy. It's based on the country's level of corruption. It's based on the country's level of healthcare as well as social care. So, depending on looking at all those factors itself, I could see that what is India lagging behind. So, if we talk about GDP, India's GDP, the overall degrowth percentage is 23.9 percentage, and the overall unemployment percentage is 24%. So there is a lot of income discrepancy as well as there is a lot of unemployment going out. So whatever youth is going out in the country at the age of 24 or 23 or 25, at that age there are no jobs. So that's why that, and job is one particular aspect of a life that does bring a lot of joy, and the effect of self, the first sensation of self, that I am worthy of something. So at that particular age, if adults are not getting the satisfaction of giving something back to the society, I believe that definitely would be one of the factors up to why the expectancy rate of happiness is so low. Secondly, a little bit improvement is definitely there in the life expectancy, but marginally the difference is there. Only marginally the difference is being there. The life expectancy of the youth below the age of 30 and above the age of 60 has increased. But the life expectancy of people between the ages of 30 to 60 have decreased terribly. And I believe it is also because of autoimmune diseases. As we all know, there are a lot of chronic and autoimmune diseases which are cropping up these days way more than the history. So this is because of stress, the chronic stress that keeps on happening, and the anecdote of stress is happiness. So definitely, because happiness is not that much readily available and we're not happy as a nation, definitely stress is there, and we are having a lot of diseases and issues within India related to youth health. Also, one another thing that I would like to throw my light on would be a very less and lack of social support. With social support, I just don't mean that friends are not supporting or family is not supportive. I also mean that there is a lack of a full area of social support workers, mental health workers, social workers, people who want to be in work in NGOs. There is no particular motivation for them to work in such areas. I believe that if India could focus on increasing opportunities for social workers, for psychologists, for NGOs, and if they could increase some subsidies, definitely we would be able to build up a system in which we are having happier nation and we are having a happier community with us. Also, last thing I would like to say is that our perception towards our country is somewhat broken. We saw that India is ranking at 40 out of 100 when they think of corruption, in which one being is the highest and 100 is being the happiest of your perception. So India is at 40%. So India and the people of India do not think about the freedom that they should get, do not get the democracy they should get. So I think that is also a major thing, that their perception for their own country is not that much. Just as ma'am said right now, that our environment does really matter a lot. Like if we see our children happy, that we will feel happy. So if our nation is only not happy, then definitely the index is low. So I think these are the particular few reasons of why happiness index for India is really low for 2021. Thank you, Anna ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sochita ma'am. It was beautifully put forward, and a lot has been talked and discussed here in the points. And I would totally agree to the opportunities, not just being from the same fraternity that we are working in the mental health sector, both of us. And I would personally relate to what you said in terms of mental health. The job opportunities, the opportunities that we are getting, we need to have a sole reason, personal reason to work in the mental health industry. As a country and as our profession allows us, we need to be individually happy around us also, in order to promote any kind of therapy or just to have a good happy conversation with our children or with our family. I do agree to whatever you said. And indeed, it was an insightful vision. And we
Thank you.
genuinely hope to see our country up on the happiness report next year. Please, everyone who's watching, that's a request. A small step makes a whole lot of difference, I think. There's a very interesting question now that I would like to ask Mr. Amit sir. Sir, now that we have talked about happiness, what is, in terms of happiness, is your happiness dependent on other people or yourself, or is it a mix of both, considering you are from the parent fraternity too? Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I believe happiness and true joy is not dependent on external sources. It's about being true to yourself, and it's about self belief and liking the person that you are. Happy people generally do not compare themselves to other, as they realize that we all have our own unique paths to travel during our lives. While happiness is
Right.
partly influenced by life events, finances, health and the social relationships. But a big part of how happy we are depends on our mindset and the habits we practice
Right.
and the way we live each day. So, so I believe that yes, happiness is dependent somehow to the external sources, but mostly it comes within. Yeah.
So I do agree to what you have mentioned. Thank you so much, and I second you, of course, in the matter when we say that it reflects both ways. So let's suppose in the previous question we were actually talking about how Suchita ma'am said that job does make a difference. So again, it's an external source. But having said that, the crux of the questions that I've just asked, it also remains to the fact that the job, the work, whatever things we are doing individually does make a difference to what we are actually also doing. So I think this is something which is going to be subjective and an intermix of both the things, individuality and the work environment. If we are happy inside out, that's how we work, right? So I totally agree. Very well put, sir. Now, my next question is to ma'am. Ma'am, you have Rachna, ma'am. Ma'am, you have talked about what are the measures that we are, taking in terms of enhancing the happiness question in our school. It would be great if you can reflect onto the specific measures and if you can talk about it. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you, Vanna, for asking this question. So basically, as a part of the Happiness Index project, as I talked, the objective two is enhancing the happiness experienced by students. And for this, we are devising pathways to happiness. So, what is pathways to happiness? As research has shown, that happiness is very much connected to the values which we practice in our life. So, values like kindness, helping and caring, gratitude, which one of the panelists mentioned before, the physical and mental well being, forgiveness. So, these are the values which, when we practice this, naturally and automatically we become happy. So what we are trying to inculcate these kinds of values in our students right from the beginning across all segments. So we are devising some activities which are called pathways to happiness based on these values, so that the children can practice these values and understand the relevance of these values in the society as a general. Because if we take example like gratitude, wherever we feel grateful for anything, we automatically become happy. Or even a thing like forgiveness, because forgiveness is not something what we are doing a favor to someone by forgiving, but we are doing a favor to ourselves. So all these values, it is very very important that we inculcate these values in students, and that's what we are working on. And this is also going to roll out soon. Apart from that, like especially in the early learners, we have already started doing interactive games with them, interactive quizzes, where they don't even know that they're learning something or they're studying something. So a lot of music and movement. In fact, sir was also talking of the free period, the free period. So what we do in the break time, we give that access to the students, so you can talk to your friends, and it can be about anything, general conversation, which they missed in their online classes, in their virtual classes, because in the physical space they were all interacting with each other, hugging each other, and there was a lot of physical and social contact. But in the online virtual mode, it has become, it is, there are of course some restrictions. Apart from this, one more research has shown that when the students are constructively engaged in doing something, they are naturally happy. So even though we are on a virtual mode, we encourage hands-on learning. It's not that they're just sitting and watching the teacher. It is a one-sided kind of a conversation, but they are doing something. Maybe they are jumping here, or they are bringing some things which the teacher has asked according to the concept. Because when the students are constructively engaged, their minds, it does not distract towards the negative things, and it tends to be more positive and happy. Also, for the happiness, as everyone has spoken, physical and mental well-being is very very important. I'm sure the countries who are receiving very good high ratings on the happiness, they have physical and mental well-being. And we also need to inculcate it right from the beginning to the students, that taking caring of our body, our mental well-being is very very important. Again, some activities like the healing exercise, or even affirmations, the positive affirmations and meditations. So all these we have planned, and slowly and gradually, I'm sure the parents will see that what is happening, and we'll start it slowly, gradually, and then take it to the full level. And we are looking forward to see the results of this, and making our students, our the whole community as a whole, a happier one. Thank you, Vandana.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Those were some great measures taken by our school to make it a happy place for everyone in it. In addition to that, what I feel is that what you have inculcated as the measures, the best thing I like about it is how we are depending upon the age category we are limiting to, how we are catering to the needs of different children. Not just we are focusing on children of primary grade, but all the grades, and how we are focusing on the age as well. So thank you so much, ma'am, for mentioning all of that, ma'am. Now, this brings me to my next question to Miss Soma, ma'am. Ma'am, do you feel that happiness is luck or is it a practice mindset? Over to you, ma'am.
And- Yeah, thank you so much. I just want to add one quick thing before going on to the question. I want to let Principal Sir and Rachna ma'am know that 9 years ago, when we set out in search of a school for our child, and we went to a few schools, and I can say with my hands on my heart that one of the big reasons we chose Global Indian International School Noida was the positive vibes that we got when we entered the school with the child, and that has stayed over the years. This is the ninth year. That's one thing that I know has worked in favor of my child's grooming, just this positive vibe. So thank you very much for keeping that going through the years. Coming
Thank
on
you.
to the question, you know what, I'm inclined to think that happiness is more of a practiced mindset and less about luck. And this is what I'd like the student audience watching us right now to completely believe in. Because, everything in life is down to one's attitude, and happiness comes from being contented or from being hugely delighted. It also comes from a human sentiment which we call hope, and looking for the little things in our lives that make us happy is what makes our day, and that's what makes it a bit of a practiced mindset. Sometimes I see if my child has a lot of assignments and homework, and if she's bogged down with it and she's like, okay, I need to complete this at so and so time and all that. For me, it's a simple thing to say, okay, abandon what you're doing now. Let's bake something together. Let's come on and create some baked item. Little things at home, just making sure that the atmosphere is happy, it never gets too serious in that sense, is what I'm trying as a parent, and I'm sure all other parents are trying in their own ways as well. In terms of whether it's luck or whether it's a practice mindset, it's also good to sort of get that mindset into children that you can make things done. Your efforts will bear fruit. The positive vibration you give to your children is what will resonate with them, and they will give that back on you. I'm really not in favor of children staying absolutely fixated on luck and other extraneous factors, because those are really not in our hands. What they need to see is what brings them contentment, is what they can go ahead with and sort of bring for themselves also. And in children, it varies also. For some children, happiness is coming from contentment. For some children, it's coming from wanting to scale newer heights. Either way, we parents have to lead by example. I have a very driven child, but I still endeavor to keep the atmosphere at home light. Sometimes, we play silly games. I ask my child for fashion tips. We laugh together. I'm trying to teach the child to laugh at herself. We spend time with her. We pique her curiosity, and in all of this she knows that there are academics and there is effort and there is all of that one needs to do to make one's life, but everything needs to be done in a positive and happy way. So it is possible to keep the quest for knowledge high, especially among children and those who are in senior school. But at the same time, they just need to feel that they can make themselves happy, and we have to play a role in leading by example, really. So that's all I probably want to share on this forum. Thank you.
That was really thought provoking, ma'am, to be very honest. And thank you so much for complimenting us as school. You have just complimented us, and it makes a lot of difference. I think we are talking a lot about happiness, and you just complimented us. And I was able to look all the panelists, and especially from the school fraternity, how it made us all smile because a compliment has been received. So clear setting an example for the compliment that we have been talking about. Lastly, I would like to ask our Principal Serge to share his special message of inspiration on happiness. Over to you, sir.
One thing I just wanted to mention before I come to your question, with all human beings, our problem is that we always see happiness at a very far distance. Actually, if you ask somebody, they will always say that is yet to come. I mean, why I'm saying this, one is that when I interact with the teachers, or maybe whenever I'm meeting people, I keep asking them, you see, where you see yourself from next 5 years or 10 years, and then they define kind of, I'll be very happy. And similarly, I'm saying, giving my example also, I always feel that after retirement, I'll be more happy when I'll be resting and probably doing things which I like the most, and I'll rediscover my passion. So we always keep this happiness at a far distance. Actually, we always, it becomes a thing which is yet to come. I mean, something like that. But what I wanted to say is that my message, which we have already experienced during this COVID time, we were not prepared, and suddenly complete situation and the circumstances we have seen changing around and everywhere. We then started focusing something else because of lockdown, because of many other reasons, work from home, and so on and so forth. I mean, we have started focusing some other on other things, like, for example, we started spending more time with family, and we started focusing on those small things. I mean, one of the panelists mentioned about focus on small things to become happy. We started doing that, and in fact, that actually created kind of a happiness that actually reconnected us, I mean, again. And we felt, oh, this is also kind of area where we can explore happy. This is what thing we were knowing, probably we were not practically doing. The most importantly, what I'm saying, that we are always stressed about things, that we wanted to always change something, and kind of according to our own desire, or maybe the way we want to see the things. But the this pandemic taught us that we should go with the flow. We should not bother about things that we cannot change, but we should more focus on things that we can change, and we have better control on those things, and automatically you will see that the happiness will follow you. I mean, start focusing those small things, rediscover your passion, and start enjoying things. I mean, you will always like it. You will always feel good about it, and you will always live at that present moment. I mean, and that's the problem with us. We never stay there. We don't want to be there. We all, as I said, that we see it at far distance. We are always traveling in our mind. We hang on to things. We said, okay, fine, this is going to happen, then I'll be happy. Once we achieve that, then we say, okay, now next this is going to happen, I'll be happy. So that should not be the approach. The approach is that that particular time you should find out that how you can be happy, and for that you need to take all the initiative. One more thing I just wanted to share with you, that I read one book called Ikigai. There's a very nice, it is about people, those who live in Okinawa Island in Japan, and they are, they live long. They feel that there should be a purpose in life, and that purpose should be something like that which motivates you. I mean, fully, will charge you, and which will inspire you to get up early in the morning from your bed and say that, oh, this is my purpose, this is what I'm going to do. But If you read the book, it is not about achieving the big goals. It's not about having money. It's not about building some corporates or companies or something like that. It is about very very small things. They are focusing in their daily routine. They are focusing in their daily exercise. They are focusing about taking care of their health. They are focusing their involvement with the community, living with community. These are the things, they whatever they do, they really enjoy. They they follow their passion. They are mindful about the things they really like, and they keep doing those things, and that is automatically happiness is kind of following them. I mean, they're happy, and because since they're happy, they are living long, they are healthier, healthy life they are having. So my message is that let's focus on those things you really like. Let's concentrate at at your present moment. I mean, see that what how you can make yourself happy right now. Forget about another 5 years, 10 years. Nobody knows. Pandemic taught us a very big lesson that next day is unpredictable. I mean, we can't predict what is going to happen. So let's focus on that particular moment and enjoy it, and live it. So this is how you can bring happiness to yourself. And as I said that also you can make people happy around you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And in addition to what sir has mentioned, I would definitely like to add also that, as individuals, we do not actually pay attention or give importance to our own self, right? We do sometimes underestimate that, no, it is not going to make a difference. No, 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 this is what it is. How much difference as an individual I am going to make in this particular situation. We keep questioning this all the time, I think, personally, even if we don't say it upfront. But I think we need to give importance, because this is how small things makes a difference. And you see yourself, I think what Soma ma'am mentioned, what Anubhati ma'am mentioned, that changing the lives around you, makes a whole lot of difference. Being happy is something which will come from within, and we need to focus on that. And yes, we need to give importance to our individual self also. We does make a difference. And coming back to Sir, thank you so much for sharing an inspirational message on happiness for all of us. This is going to be a great takeaway for making our lives happier by practicing the small steps towards the happiness, because after all, it's the small things in life that makes the big thing happen. Thank you so much, everyone, for actively participating and making this event a great success. Stay happy, healthy, and home. Namaste. Thank you so much.